Hello gamers. I want to ask, in your SL1 run, while attempting to reach RTSR range, have you ever been in such a situation? Here's another example of attempting to reach RTSR, but dying to the enemies. I am starting a new video series. The theme of the video series is how to reach in red tierstone range reliably. For every boss area. This guide video is more specifically meant for SL1, but can be used by others as well. But, while watching the strategies, keep in mind. 1. I am playing SL1. 2. I am not using any shield/heavy armor to absorb damage. This also means that damage is being taken at less than 10% equipment load. Why is this necessary? Because in SL1, it is tough to consistently get in RTSR range. It is also very hard to control poison damage to reach RTSR range reliably. Yeah, if I have to make a boss try 10 to 20 times, I'm not doing that. That is not at all a reliable way to reach RTSR range. Especially for a new player. That being said, even enemies with multiple attack patterns can be somewhat unreliable for reaching RTSR. So, most of these strategies will focus on controlled fall damage. So let's start with this series. I will start with the first boss, the last giant. Note, this also applies to the Pursuer boss fight. The boss fight is accessible from Cardinal Tower Bonfire. Now I'll demonstrate a more specific method. For SL1 at 50% hollow. At this point, I have a silver cat ring. You might consider falling in the pit below, but it barely does any damage with the ring equipped. Though without the ring, SL1 at 50% hollow will die from fall damage, since it almost kills full health SL1 100% human. Part 2. Hyde's Tower of Flame. We will attempt this technique from Hyde's Ruin Bonfire, which is the first bonfire. This area does not have any reliable fall, so we are forced to have the enemies damage us into RTSR range. I'm attempting this after I defeated the boss of this area, so the Hyde's Knights are active as well. It becomes a bit trickier with that. I have the other clip which is before the boss becomes active, so I will show that first. We chose the old Hyde Knight with shield, as his most common attack pattern is the 3-combo attack. But there are 2 variants of the same, so some inconsistencies can arise. There is also a chance he will stop at a single first sword slash. Other enemies, the mace wielder and the greatsword wielder, are harder to predict, the Hyde Knight even more so. Other disadvantages being unable to use this at higher NG cycles, and damage received depending on weapon used for blocking. Let's start with part 3, No Man's Wharf. We will attempt this technique from Unseen Path to Hyde Bonfire. Again, this area does not have any reliable fall that can also quickly lead to boss area, so we are forced to have the enemies damage us into RTSR range. Still, there is an enemy that can do reliably consistent damage, especially for SL1. Five arrows from this archer, while standing at this specific point, gets us into RTSR range. Since no block was involved, anyone can do it regardless of weapon. Do not forget to dodge all the enemies ahead, including the arrows from archers above. Again, the same technique can be used to reach RTSR at 50% hollow as well. Getting hit by 2 arrows, while blocking at the third gets us in RTSR range. Let's start with part 4. Shaded Woods. We will attempt this technique from Shaded Ruins Bonfire. This area has a fall point that can do reliably consistent damage. Move out from the bonfire and towards the boss. Before going up the path to the boss, there are 2 towers here, one with a spiral staircase, where NPC Creighton can also be found sitting. Get on top of the tower, break the barrels and jump into the second empty tower. Repeat the process. Thus, 2 jumps from the tower is enough to get into RTSR range. After the second jump, we can proceed up the hill leading to the boss, without any enemies to stop us. Again, the same technique can be used to reach RTSR at 50% hollow as well. A single jump cycle gets us into RTSR range for 50% hollow SL1 run. I made this video since I had to do the boss fights multiple times. And for a new game, I don't have the proper equipment to achieve RTSR on my own. Hope this helps someone in their SL1 run. This is it for part 1 of this video, where I demonstrated it for 5 bosses. I am interested in uploading a part 2 if this video gets around 1,000 views. So if you know someone doing their SL1 run who can benefit from this, do share the video to them as well. Thank you for watching. Do like and subscribe for more.